flip the script on someone who controlled you. My best friend is the reason why I believe that soulmates don't always have to be romantic. The first time we met at summer camp, we made each other friendship bracelets that we swore to never take off. So 5 years later, when search and rescue found her bracelet tangled by the lake, I knew my other half was gone. It didn't matter how many times I heard the words, "It's not your fault." I felt like a murderer every single day. Matthew started showing up 2 weeks after the memorial service. He dated Sophia sophomore year for like 3 months. Ancient history. But suddenly he was at my door with a Starbucks coffee. Oat milk latte, 2 pumps of vanilla. Exactly how I liked it. "Thought you could use this," he said. I wanted to tell him to F off, but Mom practically pulled him inside. Dad kept patting his shoulder and saying how mature he was for checking on me when he was grieving too. They were drowning in their own fear about losing me to depression, and here was Matthew throwing them a lifeline. 2 weeks later, he had his own key. My parents were obsessed with him bringing dinner and making sure I actually ate. "Such a good boy," Mom kept saying. Going through the same loss but still taking care of our girl. I was too dead inside to care that he'd basically moved in. I spent every night texting Sophia's number about stupid stuff even though she'd never answer. Sometimes I'd hear Matthew downstairs making my parents laugh and I'd literally want to scream. Because how could anyone laugh when Sophia was gone? School became Matthew's domain. He drove me there every morning and rearranged his whole schedule to match mine. When I kept Sophia's side of our locker decorated with photos from the swim team and homecoming, he sat me down in the hallway. "This isn't healthy," he said while taking down her pictures. "She wouldn't want you torturing yourself." The worst part was how he'd sigh whenever I cried. "You're disrespecting her memory by wallowing." So I learned to cry in the shower. I wore her hoodie under my jacket and listened to our shared playlist with earbuds he didn't know about. Everything shifted the week before my 18th birthday. Mom mentioned my grandmother's trust fund over dinner and how it would help with college. I barely heard her, but I saw Matthew's eyes light up before he caught himself. That's when I started noticing things. How he'd ask subtle questions about the amount, how he'd talk about our future like it was already decided. When I told him I wanted to use the money to hire professional investigators to look for Sophia, his whole face changed. "That money is for my future. Ours. It's for our future," he said slowly. "College together. An apartment. Sophia is gone and wasting your inheritance won't bring her back." He was already walking away thinking that I would give in, but he was wrong, because dead or alive, Sophia was my person. Well, less than 24 hours after our conversation ended, he told my parents I was having delusions. He called our whole friend group saying I was spiraling. They staged an intervention with a therapist who specialized in complicated grief. Even Sophia's parents showed up to tell me I needed to let their daughter rest in peace. I tried to access my trust early anyway, but Matthew had already convinced my parents to require their signature until I was mentally stable. When I screamed that he never really loved Sophia, he smacked his steering wheel so hard it cracked. 2 nights later, he took my freaking phone, said I was using it to obsess over finding her. I waited until everyone was asleep and snuck out to his car to get it back. And that's when my hand hit something familiar. I recognized it instantly. It was Sophia's friendship bracelet, the one with pink, purple, and blue, the one she wore on her ankle, the one that was supposedly never found. My head was spinning, because this meant that the bracelet by the lake had been planted. My body was moving faster than my mind could process anything. And next thing I knew, I was running barefoot through the neighborhood at 2 a.m. Her mom found me collapsed on their porch, holding the bracelet and screaming that Matthew killed her. I kept saying he planted evidence, but I was crying too hard to make sense. Matthew showed up with my parents and 2 police officers. He played the concerned boyfriend perfectly, telling them I'd been getting worse all week. I looked like the crazy depressed girlfriend. As he guided me toward the police car for psychiatric evaluation, Sophia's 12-year-old brother Connor ran outside. While Matthew was distracted talking to the officers, Connor shoved something in my pocket. "Sophia said if anything happened, give this to you," he whispered. "Not him. Only you." Full story on channel. Link below.